Healing is energy, and energy moves through the ancestral line like water, finding its way back to the sea. What truly holds family together is not blood, it's not childhood memories, it's not culture, and not even parents. What holds a family together is compassion, it's understanding, forgiveness, emotional maturity, and the willingness to honor each sibling as a unique soul with their own journey. Let's talk about family in this episode. Why families drift apart and what truly holds us together. Families often begin as tightly woven circles. Siblings growing up under one roof, eating the same food, listening to the same parents, and living within the same four walls. From the outside, it appears that siblings share an identical upbringing, but the truth is far more complex. Even in the same household, each child grows up in a different world because no two children experience their parents, their environment, or their inner emotional landscape in the same way. One child receives more responsibility, while another receives more attention. One child grows up feeling pressure, another grows up feeling invisible. One child is sensitive and absorbs everything, another is tough and blocks things out. So while the household looks uniform, the inner world of each child forms uniquely. This is where the first seeds of difference begin, not out of anger, but out of individuality. As siblings move into adolescence and early adulthood, their identities deepen and begin to separate even more. They develop their own personalities, they develop their own dreams, fears, and worldviews. They choose different friends, adopt different values, and respond differently to the same household experiences. This is the natural evolution of the soul becoming its own self. Yet, because families often lack the skills to communicate deeply, these early differences can become misunderstood, unspoken, or even judged. What was once a childhood closeness may quietly transform into emotional distance. The greatest shift often comes when siblings enter marriage. A new partner brings with them an entire world, their own upbringing, traumas, family systems, cultural rules, insecurities, expectations, and emotional patterns. Then suddenly, the original family is no longer just siblings, but multiple family systems merging and sometimes colliding. Some partners enter with openness and love, others enter with insecurity or control. These influences can either strengthen sibling bonds or create new fractures. Often, the distance that forms between siblings is not because they no longer love one another, but because the energies entering the family through new relationships create new dynamics, they create tensions and new emotional realities. Before long, siblings find themselves on separate islands, even if they still care deeply for each other. Life also brings crises, financial pressures, migration, parenting stress, the illness, heartbreak, jealousy, addiction, or unspoken resentment. Each sibling responds differently to hardship. Some grow stronger, some withdraw, some shut down, and some become detached. Without emotional tools or healing, small misunderstandings can transform into deep emotional walls. Many families never learned the language of healing. They never learned the language of forgiveness and communication. And so the distance grows, even when the love remains. When parents pass away, the deepest shift often occurs. Parents are the anchors of the family, the gravitational center that pulls everyone together for holidays, for gatherings, and for shared milestones. When both parents die, it can feel as though the anchor has been cut from the ship. Without the central force, siblings drift into their own lives, focusing on their own families, responsibilities, and challenges. Some grow closer, but for many, the distance becomes greater. It is not because they no longer care for each other, but because the structure that once held them together no longer exists. A question many people carry quietly is whether these distances can ever be healed later in life. And the answer is yes, but not always. Reconnection depends on emotional maturity, it depends on healing, self awareness, and the willingness to release all wounds and others. Families reconnect when at least one sibling becomes the healer, the one who breaks cycles, the one who forgives without forcing, the one who grows without blaming, and the one who loves without controlling. Healing in one person can shift the energy of the entire lineage. Even if siblings never say it aloud, they can still feel it. Healing is energy, and energy moves through the ancestral line like water, finding its way back to the sea. What truly holds family together is not blood, it's not childhood memories, it's not culture, and not even parents. What holds a family together is compassion, it's understanding, forgiveness, emotional maturity, and the willingness to honor each sibling as a unique soul with their own journey. Families are not meant to be identical, they are meant to be diverse expressions of the same ancestral seed. The moment we stop trying to change each other and begin respecting difference, then real love begins. For those of you who are watching, if your family is drifting apart, do not blame yourself, do not blame your siblings or their partners, because every soul has its own pathway, its own lessons, and its own timing. Your purpose is not to force closeness, but to become a healing presence. Because when you heal, your ancestors exhale. When you stand in love, the energy of the family shifts. And when you honor your own path, you become a light for others to find their way when the time is right. Thank you for watching. Continue to heal, continue to grow, and continue to walk with love. You are light. In fact, we are all light. So share it generously. I'm Seni, and remember, create love and be love everywhere. And I'm more than happy to see you again in my next video.